I'm 40 years old, and I'm tired. Not the kind of tired sleep fixes, not the kind of tired that comes from a long day, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. I'm tired of being the strong one, the one who holds everything together, the one who doesn't fall apart, the one everyone leans on. For most of my life, people have called me strong. They say it like it's a compliment. You're so strong. I don't know how you do it. You always handle everything. I smile, I nod, I say, I'm fine. But what I really want to say is, I'm exhausted. I remember a night not long ago. It was late. The house was finally quiet. Everyone was asleep. I was sitting on the bathroom floor, not crying loudly, not dramatically, just staring at the wall, holding my phone in my hand, wanting to call someone, anyone. Then realizing I had no idea who I could call because I'm always the one people call. That was the moment I whispered to myself, I don't want to be strong anymore. And then I felt guilty for even thinking that, because strong women aren't supposed to say that. Strong women don't get tired. Strong women don't need help. Strong women just keep going. So I stood up, washed my face, went back to bed, and pretended I was okay. Like I always do, I didn't wake up one day and decide to become strong. I learned it. I learned it young, in a house where problems were never discussed, where everyone was just supposed to survive. If something went wrong, you dealt with it quietly. If you were sad, you didn't show it. If you were scared, you kept it to yourself. I learned very early. Being easy makes life easier. Being low maintenance keeps people calm. Being strong keeps you needed. So I became the responsible one, the helper, the fixer. If my parents were overwhelmed, I stayed quiet. If someone needed something, I volunteered. If there was tension in the room, I tried to smooth it out. People started to rely on me, and I felt useful, needed, important. No one said, it's okay to be a child. They said, you're mature for your age. I didn't know then. That mature for your age often means you're carrying things you shouldn't have to carry. I didn't become strong because I wanted to. I became strong because I didn't feel safe being anything else. As I got older, being strong stopped feeling like a choice. It became my identity. At work, I was the one who handled pressure. In relationships, I was the understanding one. In my family, I was the reliable one. If something broke, I fixed it. If someone fell apart, I held them. If plans collapsed, I figured it out. People trusted me. They admired me. They also never asked if I was okay. Not because they didn't care, but because I never gave them a reason to. I made sure I looked fine, even when I wasn't, especially when I wasn't. I became very good at functioning, paying bills, showing up, smiling. I became very bad at feeling, because feelings slow you down, and strong people don't slow down. Here's what no one tells you. When you're always the strong one, you slowly forget how to be soft. You forget how to ask. You forget how to receive. You forget that you are allowed to fall apart sometimes. I didn't notice it happening until one day, I couldn't remember the last time I felt truly supported. Not appreciated, not thanked. Supported. There is a difference. The moment it really hit me wasn't during a crisis, wasn't during a breakup, wasn't during a big fight. It was ordinary. I was 39, sitting in my car in a grocery store parking lot, engine off, hands on the steering wheel. I had just finished buying food for everyone else, their favorite snacks, their favorite drinks, things they didn't even ask for because I always remember. I sat there and felt this sudden wave of heaviness. Not sadness, not anger, just deep exhaustion. And a thought came into my mind. If I disappeared for a week, who would notice that I was struggling? Not who would miss me, not who would need me. Who would notice I wasn't okay? I couldn't think of anyone. That scared me because I realized something painful. People knew me as strong, but they didn't know me as human, and I had helped create that. I never showed my cracks. I never admitted I was tired. I never said, I can't handle this. So no one knew I needed help. That day in the parking lot, I cried. Not loudly, just quiet tears, and I whispered, I don't want to live like this anymore. That was the first honest thing I had said to myself in years. Here's the first hard truth I learned. Being strong all the time is lonely. Not because people don't care, but because strength creates distance. When you always look okay, people assume you are okay. When you never ask, people assume you don't need anything. I had built a life where everyone felt safe with me, but I didn't feel safe with anyone. That's backwards. Strength without softness is not strength. It's armor, and armor gets heavy. I realized something uncomfortable. I didn't just attract people who leaned on me, I trained them to. I taught them I would always handle everything. I taught them I didn't need help. Not with words, with behavior. That wasn't their fault, it was mine. That was hard to admit, but freeing, because it meant I could start teaching something different. Here's the second hard truth. I believed needing help meant I had failed, that if I couldn't handle everything alone, something was wrong with me, so I didn't ask. Ever. Not when I was overwhelmed, not when I was lonely, not when I was drowning. I told myself, other people have it worse. I should be grateful. I can handle this. Strong people don't ask. Strong people cope. Strong people push through. That's what I believed. But here's what I know now. Humans are not designed to do life alone. We are built for connection, for support, for being held. Needing help doesn't mean you are broken. It means you are human. I spent years giving grace to everyone else. If someone was struggling, I understood. If someone was overwhelmed, I made space. But I didn't offer myself that same kindness. I held myself to a standard I would never expect from anyone I loved. That's not strength. That's self-abandonment. The first time I asked for help, it felt wrong. My voice shook. I felt embarrassed. I felt exposed. But something surprising happened. The world didn't collapse. No one laughed. No one walked away. Someone said, I'm glad you told me. I cried harder after that than I had in years. Not because I was sad, because I felt seen. Here is something I didn't want to admit. Being strong was not just about helping others. It was also about avoiding myself. If I stayed busy, I didn't have to feel lonely. If I stayed productive, I didn't have to feel sad. If I stayed focused on everyone else's problems, I didn't have to look at my own. Strength became a distraction, a socially acceptable one. No one questions a woman who is always doing. No one worries about the woman who is always holding it together. So I kept holding it together, even when I was falling apart inside. I avoided quiet moments because quiet moments bring thoughts, and my thoughts were heavy. Questions like, what do I actually want? Am I happy? When was the last time I felt excited about my life? Those questions scared me because I didn't know the answers. So I stayed strong instead. It's easier to carry everyone else's weight than to face your own emptiness. But avoiding your feelings doesn't make them disappear, it just pushes them deeper. They show up later as exhaustion, as numbness, as resentment, as a constant low level sadness you can't explain. That's where I was living. Not in crisis, not in joy, in between, surviving. The moment that changed everything wasn't dramatic. No big breakdown, no screaming, no collapsing on the floor. It was quiet. I was at home one evening, sitting on the couch, nothing playing on the TV, no phone in my hands, just silence. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't distract myself. I didn't get up to clean. I didn't scroll. I didn't make a to-do list. I just sat there, and suddenly I felt it. A wave of sadness, not about one specific thing, not about one person, just grief. Grief for how long I'd been holding my breath. Grief for how little space I had given myself. Grief for the woman I became because I thought I had no other choice. I started crying, real crying, not quiet tears, not polite crying, messy, ugly, the kind where your chest hurts, and instead of telling myself, stop, get it together, be strong, I whispered, it's okay. It felt strange, almost wrong. But I stayed with it. I let myself be sad. I let myself be tired. I let myself be human. That night, I realized something important. I didn't need to become stronger. I needed to become softer. With myself. Here's the fourth hard truth. Soft does not mean weak. Sensitive does not mean fragile. Needing rest does not mean lazy. I had confused hardness with strength. But hardness breaks. Softness bends. And bending keeps you alive. When I started treating myself gently, everything didn't magically get better. But something inside me stopped hurting as much. I stopped calling myself names in my head. I stopped pushing past exhaustion. I stopped expecting myself to be endless. I began asking simple questions. What do I need right now? Not what everyone else needs, not what I should need, what I need. Sometimes the answer was rest, sometimes it was space, sometimes it was a hug, sometimes it was honesty. Listening to myself felt unfamiliar, but also relieving, like finally coming home after being away for a long time. I wasn't becoming selfish. I was becoming honest. There is a difference. I didn't flip my life upside down. I didn't quit everything. I didn't disappear. I started small, very small. I started saying, I'm not okay, out loud. I started telling people when I was overwhelmed. I stopped answering messages right away. I took breaks without explaining. I let myself rest before I was completely empty. I asked for help. Not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly. I began choosing myself in quiet ways, going for walks alone, sitting in silence, doing things with no purpose other than enjoyment. I stopped filling every empty moment. I let space exist. At first, it felt uncomfortable, then it felt peaceful. Some people adjusted, some didn't. That hurt. But I learned something important. Anyone who only loved me when I was useful didn't actually love me. They loved what I did for them. That realization was painful, but freeing. Here's what I know now. Real strength is not never breaking. Real strength is knowing when you need support. Real strength is telling the truth about how you feel. Real strength is choosing yourself without apology. Strong doesn't mean silent. Strong doesn't mean numb. Strong doesn't mean alone. Strong means honest. Strong means human. Strong means you stop punishing yourself for having limits. I spent years trying to become unbreakable. All I did was become disconnected. I don't want to be unbreakable anymore. I want to be real. I want to be present. I want to be alive. That feels stronger than anything I've ever known. If you take nothing else from my story, take this. You do not have to earn rest. You do not have to deserve support. You do not have to break yourself to be worthy of love. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to need help. You are allowed to change. I spent most of my life being the strong one, holding everything together, smiling, surviving. I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to live honestly, softly, fully. If you feel exhausted in a way sleep doesn't fix, if you feel invisible, if you feel like you're carrying everything alone, this is your sign. You don't have to be strong right now. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to hold it together. You can rest, you can ask, you can breathe, and that is enough. If this message meant something to you, let me know in the comments. And if you want more honest conversations like this, subscribe. Not for me. For the part of you that is tired, Nietzsche, and still deserves love.